Hi makers, welcome back to my channel. It's Sierra with Sierra's Crafty Creations, and today we're going to be making this beautiful summer shawl. It's a triangle scarf slash triangle shawl, whatever you'd like to call it. It's a very open and airy, lightweight shawl that you can wear in the spring and summertime, and it's going to be a great one, guys. So let's go over our materials. And the materials that you're going to need is a size 3 yarn. I'm using Lion Brand's Mandala yarn, and I'll go ahead and put the yardage up for how much you will need for this project here. I'm using the unicorn colorway. As you can see, it has some white grays and some pretty pinks in there, and it is a size 3 light yarn, and it's 100% acrylic. You can use any size 3 yarn that you'd like to achieve the look, and you will also need a 5mm H crochet hook. This is my favorite hook. This is my friend's hook that was made by Angie over at Harper Baby Hooks. I will link her shop down below. She makes handmade clay crochet hooks, and she does amazing work, you guys. This is my favorite hook ever, so that's what I'll be using today because it's my 5mm. And you also need some scissors for later just to cut the yarn. All right, let's jump right into the pattern, guys. First things first, let's go over the stitches that we're going to be using in this pattern. This one's pretty simple. We're going to be using half double crochet and double crochet. We're also going to be chaining in this pattern, and we're going to be using increases and decreases, but these are the main stitches that we'll be using. So let's grab our yarn and our hook and get started. We are going to make a slip knot with our yarn. And insert our hook. And before we get started on chaining our foundation, I just want to point out, and I'm going to put in a little diagram of how this is going to be worked. So first we're going to start at the very point, and we're going to do increases until we get to the middle, which is going to be the longest point of our scarf. And then once we reach that, we're going to do decreases, and then we're going to tie off. So it is going to be a triangle. We're just going to maybe work it a little different than you've done triangle scarves in the past. So we're going to start with the corner point here, and we're going to increase until we get to the longest middle point. So let's go ahead and get started. The first row we are going to chain 2, so you're going to yarn over, pull the yarn through that loop. That's 1. Get your yarn, pull through. That's 2. And then we're going to create a half double crochet in that very first chain that we created. So we're going to yarn over, insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, and you're going to have 3 loops on your hook, and we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those. There we go. And that's 1 half double crochet. That's our very first stitch. Now on to row 2. We are going to chain 1. So grab your yarn and pull it through. Chain 1 and turn. And we're going to place 2 half double crochets in that stitch that we made in our last row. So you're going to yarn over, insert your hook into the top of your stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through all 3. That's your first half double crochet, and we're going to place another one right in the same space, and this is going to be an increase. So we're going to yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. And now for row 2 we have 2 stitches. Row 3, same thing, we're going to chain 1, we're going to turn our work, and we're going to place 2 half double crochets in the very first stitch here. So we're going to yarn over, insert into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3, and we're going to do an increase here. So we're going to place another half double crochet in that very same stitch here. So we're going to yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 3. Those are half double crochets. And then we're going to put 1 half double crochet in the next stitch. And now you have 3 stitches in that row. Round row 4, we're going to chain 1 and turn. We're going to place a half double crochet in the first 2 stitches. So we're going to place 1 in the first stitch, a half double crochet, and then a half double crochet in the next stitch. And then we're going to place 2 half double crochets in the very last stitch here. There's 1, and then another one in the same stitch. Now we have 4 stitches, 1, 2, 3, and 4 on our 4th row. Easy to keep track of, yeah? So row 5, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And you're going to notice we're going to increase on the same side because we only want one side to do an increase. We want the other side to stay straight. So for row 5, we're going to do our increases at the beginning. So we're going to chain 1 and turn and do 2 half double crochets in the very first stitch for our increase. And then 1 half double crochet in the next 3 stitches. And now you have 5 half double crochets for row 5. We are going to chain 1 and turn. For row 6, again, we only want our increases to be on one end. So we increased on our last row at the beginning, so we're going to increase at the end of this row. So row 6, we're going to place a 1 half double crochet in the first 4 stitches. Right, in our very last stitch, we're going to place 2 half double crochets. And now we have 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're going to chain 1 and turn. You can see your little triangle starting to form. All right, so for row 7, we're going to increase at the beginning. So we're going to place 2 half double crochets in the very first stitch. And then 1 half double crochet in each stitch after. And now you have 7 half double crochets. Row 8, chain 1 and turn. All right, so if you're catching the pattern by now, you know on even rows, we're going to increase at the end, and on odd rows, we're going to increase at the beginning. So we're on row 8, so we're going to do our increase at the end of the row. So we're going to start with a half double crochet in the first 7 stitches. No. All right, so we half double crocheted until our last stitch, and then we're going to put 2 half double crochets in our last stitch. And now we have 8 half double crochets. For row 9, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And now that we're on an odd row, we're going to increase at the beginning, 2 half double crochets in the very first stitch. And then 1 half double crochet in the rest of the stitches. And you should have 9 half double crochets. All right, row 10, chain 1 and turn. This is an even row, so we are going to increase at the end of our row here. So we're going to start with a single half double crochet in each stitch until we get to our very last stitch. All right, our last stitch, we are going to place 2 half double crochets for our increase. Row 11, chain 1 and turn. We're at an odd row, so we're going to increase in our first stitch, so 2 half double crochets in that very first stitch for our increase. And then 1 half double crochet in each stitch across. 11 half double crochets. All right. Row 12, chain 1 and turn. This is going to be our last row of all half double crochets, and we're going to start mixing it up. But you can see our little baby triangle is growing slowly but surely. So row 12, it's an even row, again, ending with an increase. So we're going to start with a single half double crochet in each stitch across until you get to your last stitch. And we're at our last stitch. We're going to place 2 half double crochets. And now we have 12 half double crochets in that row. So I try to keep it easy for you. That way you know you're on row 12. You should have 12 stitches. Simple enough, right? All right, now we're going to mix things up. Throw a little wrench into the easiness. So this is what your little square, your triangle should be looking like. And we're going to jump into row 13. So for this row, we are going to chain 3. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to turn our work. And this chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet. So we're going to be doing double crochets for this row. And because it is an odd row, we're going to increase in the very first stitch. So we just chained 3, which is counting as our first double crochet. We're going to yarn over and insert into that very first stitch for our increase. And we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through the first 2, and yarn over, pull through the last 2. That's a double crochet. Then we're going to yarn over and we're going to skip 1 stitch. So we just worked in this one, so we're going to skip this stitch and we're going to work in this one next. So we yarn over, we're going to insert into this stitch and do a double crochet, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. And now this is where it's going to get a little bit tricky, but I believe in you guys. You can totally do this. We're going to do a double crochet behind the one that we just made. So we're going to yarn over and then we're going to twist our hook behind this double crochet and we're going to work in that stitch that we skipped in the front. So you would insert like regular. And then we're going to create a double crochet in that stitch. And that's going to give us that little X look. As you can see, it's just a little X there. It gives it some texture and mixes up the pattern a little bit. Keeps it fun. So again, we're going to do this throughout the whole row. So I'll show you again. We're going to yarn over. We're going to skip this stitch because we worked in this one. So we're going to skip this stitch, insert here, and create a double crochet. And then we're going to yarn over, take our hook behind that double crochet we just created and insert our hook into that skipped stitch. And we're going to create a double crochet. All right, and there's your second X. All right, I'll do it with you one more time. Yarn over, insert your, we're going to skip this one, insert into the next, create a double crochet, yarn over your hook, take your hook behind the double crochet you just created and go into that skip stitch and create a double crochet. And you're going to do that until the end of your row. All right, and we got to our very last stitch back here, and we're going to just place a double crochet in the very last stitch. And you will have 13 stitches. And we're going to move on to row 14. You're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to half double crochet in the first stitch, and we're going to put a single half double crochet in each stitch until the end, and we're going to do our increase. All right, and I just want to bring that up more just to show you, because we did a chain 3 to start our row 13. So we're going to do a half double crochet in this one, and then our increase is actually going to be at the top of that chain 3. So 1, 2, 3. You're going to insert your hook at the top of that chain 3, and we're going to put 2 half double crochets there. And now you'll have 14 half double crochets. And we're just going to keep repeating rows 13 and 14 until we reach our middle length. So for row 13, again, we're going to chain 3. For the repeat of 13, we're on row 15. And again, guys, every row that you're on, that's how many stitches you should have in that row. And just a refresher, for all of the odd rows, you're going to start with an increase. And for all of your even rows, you're going to end with an increase. That way, we're increasing only on one side. As you can see, this side is staying straight and this side is increasing. So we're on row 15, but it's going to be a repeat of row 13. So we chain 3, we're doing our increase, so we're going to double crochet in that very first stitch. We're going to yarn over, skip this stitch, work into this one, placing a double crochet. Then we're going to yarn over, go behind that double crochet, and insert into the skip stitch and create a double crochet there. And we're going to keep following that. So we're going to skip this one, insert into the next, create a double crochet, yarn over, work behind that double crochet into the skip stitch, and keep doing that until your last stitch, and you'll place a double crochet in this very last stitch. All right, we're at the end of row 15, and again, I just want to show you we're at our very last stitch here, and to place just a single double crochet at the end to complete your row. All right, and we're going to do a repeat of 14 for row 16, which is our half double crochet row. Chain 1, turn your work, and we're increasing at the end. So you're going to place a half double crochet in each stitch across until the last stitch, where you will place 2 half double crochets for your increase. And I did want to just remind you, since the very last stitch is the chain 3 from the previous row, you're going to count 1, 2, 3 to the third chain up, and that's where you're going to place your 2 half double crochets in the top of that chain 3 from your previous row. All right, and now again a repeat of row 13. So you can see how it's coming along. We got some pretty X's going on. It's getting a little lacy, so that's how it should be looking for you now, and it'll just keep growing. And we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna keep repeating rows 13 and 14 until we reach our middle point, and then we'll start decreasing. So I will meet you in the middle. See you soon. All right, you guys, we have made it to our middle point. You should be at row 77, and it should be an X's row. We did all of our increases, as you can see. We started just from this little bit, and we kept growing. And now we have made it to our middle. So now we are going to start decreasing. And to do that, we're still going to be doing the same stitches. We're just going to be doing decreases rather than increases. So to start, we're going to do our half double crochet row. and we're going to do 2 decreases at the very end. So we're going to need to leave open 1, 2, 3, 4. So you need the last 4 stitches here to be open, and we're going to do 2 decreases over these 4 stitches. So go ahead and do your half double crochet until your last 4, and I'll meet you there. All right, we made it to our last 4 stitches, and we're going to do 2 decreases. So we're going to yarn over, insert into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through. You're going to have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over again, insert into your second, yarn over, pull through, and you'll have 5 loops on your hook, and we're going to yarn over, pull through all 5, and we're going to repeat that on the last 2 stitches. So yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, have 3 loops, yarn over, insert into the last stitch, yarn over, pull through, have 5 loops, yarn over, pull through all 5, and that's going to give you 2 decreases. Then we're going to chain 2 this time for our X's row rather than 3, and we're going to turn. Now this row is going to be a tad different. We're going to chain 2 rather than 3, and the chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. So instead we're going to place a double crochet in this very first stitch here, and that counts as 1 double crochet. And we're not going to be decreasing or increasing this row, we're just going to work it as normal. And the reason we did 2 decreases last row is because the X's row needs to have an even number of stitches to be worked. So we did 2 decreases in the half double crochet row, and for this row we're going to chain 2 and 1 double crochet in the very first stitch, and then we're going to work our X's row as normal. So skip 1, insert into the next, double crochet behind into your skip stitch, and keep repeating. Skip 1, insert, double crochet behind, and keep going. So that's how it's going to be for your decreases. So you're going to keep repeating that. So keep going with your X's row as normal, and I will meet you for the next row. As always, you're going to start your half double crochet row with a chain 1 and turn, and we're going to do 2 half double crochet decreases over the last 4 stitches. So place a half double crochet in each stitch until you get to your last 4, and I'll meet you there. Now that we have our last 4 stitches in the row left, I want to show you the decrease just one more time on camera. So you're going to yarn over, insert into the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, have those 3 still on your hook, yarn over, insert into the second, yarn over, pull through. You'll have 5 loops, yarn over, pull through all 5, and repeat that over the last 2. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, insert into the next, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all 5. So that's going to decrease by 2. So for those of you that are still counting stitches or want to just double check your count, every half double crochet row during the decrease, you're going to minus 2 stitches. And then when you start your X's row, those rows are going to stay the same because we're not increasing or decreasing for those. So to start that, again, we're going to chain 2 and turn. And just again on camera, I wanted to show for the X's row, you're only going to be chaining 2 for this portion, and you're going to put a double crochet in that very first stitch, and that's going to count as 1 double crochet, and then you're going to create your X's row as usual. So again, we're going to keep doing these 2 rows for the decrease portion. As you can see, you can already see the decreasing happening, and it keeps it even with this side as well. So you're going to do your X's row as normal, then you're going to do a half double crochet and row until the last 4, and then do 2 decreases over the last 4, and then your X's row. So again, keep going back and forth between these 2 rows until you get to your half double crochet row that only has 12 stitches, and I'll meet you back when we get there. All right, makers, we made it to the last portion of our scarf, and you should have 12 spaces. And just keep in mind your decreases from your last row. This cluster counts as 1 stitch, so just keep that in mind when counting. And you should have 12 stitches, which will be row 138. So we're gonna do half double crochet rows here on out. We're not gonna be doing the X's row, just like how we started. Let me pull that. Scarf has gotten quite big, but just like when we started, we just did half double crochets. We're going to end with half double crochet rows. Now that we're not doing the X's row, we only need to do 1 decrease per row. So we're starting with an odd row, so we're going to do our decrease first. So we're going to do our half double crochet decrease over the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to place a half double crochet in each stitch. Then for our next row, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Again, half double crochet row, but now we're on an even row. We're on 140, so we're going to end with a half double crochet decrease over the last 2. So you're going to chain 1 and do a half double crochet in every stitch until you get to your last 2 stitches of the row. And these are our last 2, because keep in mind this is our decrease from the previous row. So this stitch right here is just 1 stitch, and so we're going to decrease over these last 2 spaces with our half double crochet decrease, and then we're going to chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to do 1 decrease over the first 2 stitches. So you're going to do your half double crochet over the first 2, and then put a half double crochet in each stitch until the end of this row. And you guessed it, we're going to keep doing this until we only have 1 stitch left. So now we're starting an odd row. We're going to half double crochet until the last 2 stitches, and then create a half double crochet decrease over the last 2. And as you can see, we're getting really close to the very end here. So we're on an even row now. We're going to do our half double crochet decrease over the first 2 stitches, and then a half double crochet in the rest of the remaining stitches. Chain 1 and turn. We're going to do a half double crochet in, the first 2 stitches, and then we're going to half double crochet decrease over these last 2. So now we have 3 stitches, chain 1 and turn. We're going to half double crochet decrease over the first 2, and then a half double crochet in the last stitch. All right, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we only have 1 stitch left, and we're going to just put 1 half double crochet there to end our row. And we just ended our scarf. So we're going to grab our scissors, leave a little bit of a tail so that you can sew in later. We're going to cut that. You're going to act as if you're chaining, and you're going to pull it all the way through and tie that off, and you have completed your scarf. All right, you guys, you are finished. You did it. I hope you love your new scarf that you just made, and I would love to see your creation. So please be sure to follow me on Instagram and send me pictures or tag me in the pictures that you post. And if you aren't already, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so you can see more of my crochet, knit, and crafty tutorials. Thanks. Happy crafting.